Welcome back. Let's get more now on that breaking news we brought you just moments ago, that Prince Harry has settled his case against Rupert Murdoch's news group newspapers. Let's bring in our royal correspondent, Rhiannon Mills. She's at the Royal Courts of Justice. Rhiannon, bring us more on this breaking news and the background to it, and I guess the level of surprise we have that this is not going to trial and has been settled.
It has to be said, this is absolutely extraordinary. We know that Prince Harry, as he said when he released his book Spare, he was making it his life's work to take on the mispractices of the tabloid press. This was going to be his day in court. This was going to be his opportunity to make news group newspapers, the publishers of The Sun and the News of the World, finally answer questions about the unlawful activities that he claimed were being carried out by reporters and private investigators in order to obtain stories about him and so many other people. But what has happened today is that news group newspapers have, in essence, given him the apology that he has wanted. This has never been about the money, as he has always said. Financially, he was always potentially set to lose out. They were offering him settlements clearly in the run-up to this trial. He was refusing them, but he knew that even if he won this case, even if he won damages, he could still potentially have lost out financially, because he would have had to pay his own costs and those of the opposition. But today, as I say, news group newspapers have released what is this extraordinary apology. They offer a full and unequivocal apology to him for what they say was the serious intrusion by The Sun between 1996 and 2011 into his private life, including, they say, incidents of unlawful activities carried out by private investigators. They also go on to apologise for phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information by journalists and private investigators. What is also very striking is they apologise to the Duke for the impact on him of extensive coverage and serious intrusion into his private life, so not just focusing on specific articles he was due to bring up in this case, but also say intrusion into his private life as well as the private life of Diana, Princess of Wales, his late mother, in particular during his younger years. And of course, over the years, we have heard consistently about the impact that the media intrusion had on Prince Harry, the media intrusion that he said was carried out into his mother's life, and ultimately, he says, played a part in her death. So really striking that they mentioned Diana, Princess of Wales in there. They also talk about how they apologise for the distress caused to the Duke and the damage it inflicted on relationships, friendships and family over the years. And also here, when it comes down to the money, they say they have agreed to pay him substantial damages. Now, what also is really important to point out is throughout this trial, by bringing this to trial, what Prince Harry ultimately wanted to do is to make news group newspapers also acknowledge that there was some form of cover-up, that senior executives knew what was going on within the newsroom. They knew the illegal, unlawful activities that were being carried out by reporters. That is something that news group newspapers have never admitted to, and actually they still haven't. But what they have said is it's also acknowledged without any admission of illegality that news group newspapers' response to the 2006 arrests and subsequent actions were regrettable, which appears to allude to these suggestions that were going to come out through this trial about emails possibly being deleted and hard drives also being done away with as well. So yeah, this is absolutely extraordinary, the fact that the Duke of Sussex today has decided to settle. Also alongside him, it's worth pointing out, was a co-claimant, Lord Watson, the former deputy leader of the Labour Party. He also has received a full and unequivocal apology for the unwanted intrusion carried out into his private life during his time in government by the News of the World. So yeah, there are two apologies here, but of course, we have this huge focus. There's always been this huge focus on Prince Harry, who was talked about being one of the last people standing when it came to wanting to hold news group newspapers to account.
Rhiannon, we are waiting for the full statement to be read out, of course, by Prince Harry's lawyer, and we'll go to that when it begins. I just want to come back to one headline point in the statement that we've been given that will be read out shortly. And that says that's an admission if I read this correctly, that journalists at The Sun used unlawful activities. I don't think we've ever had that admitted before, have we?
That's huge. That is, and it is new, because you have to remember that since 2011, we had the potential for this to go to trial. Between 2011 and now, 1,300 individuals have settled out of court with News Group newspapers. I was talking to someone within Prince Harry's team earlier in the week who said that they believe the bill for that has been between $1 and $2 billion for News Group newspapers. It's been a huge amount of money. But with all of those settlements all along the line, News Group newspapers have never accepted any kind of illegality. And that is what is standing out with this statement, is they are apologising. And this is what Prince Harry has always wanted, and also Tom Watson has always wanted. They haven't just wanted the financial damages. They've wanted News Group newspapers to come out and make some kind of admission. This, for Prince Harry, has been a moral crusade. It's been a point of principle. And so yesterday, when we heard mutterings that they were potentially close to a settlement, it was surprising to hear. But it seems that overnight, yesterday afternoon, throughout the day, as the lawyers were saying to the judge, we need more time on this, they've now come together and they have got this apology that he so desperately wanted.
Yeah. And again, Rhiannon, just a further question on this. I mean, as we led up to this moment, whether it's the last 24 hours or the last year, we've heard many times Prince Harry profess that he's going to take this to the very end. He didn't want to settle, and that might, when you saw the headline cross that he settled, imply that he'd back down. I mean, again, you read the content of this apology to him and to Lord Watson. It doesn't really feel like that. It's hard for us to judge this, of course, whether he'll see this as victory, whether the world will see this as victory for him in the time to come. But this is a very striking statement that goes much further than perhaps many people would imagine.
I think without this apology, there is very little chance that Prince Harry was going to settle. But it's worth pointing out that this trial had huge reputational risks for News Group newspapers, for the senior executives that were potentially going to be named in allegations, which of course News Group newspapers denied. And that's why Prince Harry wanted to take this to trial. He wanted News Group newspapers finally in open court to have to talk about the unlawful activities of reporters at the News of the World and also at The Sun. And while at the News of the World back in 2011 there had been some level of apology to individuals who had their phones hacked, certainly with The Sun newspaper there has never been any admission that unlawful activities were being carried out. It is worth pointing out that within this apology, it does say it is also acknowledged, but without any admission of illegality, that News Group newspapers' response to the 2006 arrests and subsequent actions were regrettable. So there are caveats within that apology. But also, in terms of what this means for Prince Harry, and just really to hammer home how significant this case was, look, we just have to look back over the last couple of years. When he released his book Spare, he talked about how this was no longer just a personal issue for him. This was now going to be his life's work in terms of holding the tabloid press to account. He wanted to do this not just for himself, but also for the thousands of individuals who he said didn't have the platform, didn't have the profile, didn't have the money to hold the papers to account. He also, back in December last year in New York, gave an interview where he alluded to this legal action that was coming up and said that the scale of the cover-up is so large that people need to see it for themselves. He was also sort of approached with, well, so many others have settled, why haven't you? And he said they've settled because they've had to settle. So therefore, one of the main reasons for seeing this through is accountability, because I'm the last person that can actually achieve that. So today, to see and hear that he has settled, that there has now been this very fulsome apology from News Group newspapers, I think we have to take a step back and realise just how extraordinary it is that he has taken a step back and said, yes, I accept that apology and I no longer want this to go to trial.